We see ultras all around the world. From the frightening to the incredible, they are clearly the beating heart of many football clubs. But they're also a source of controversy. So we decided to break it down once and for all. What is an ultra? And what do they do? We've all grown used to scenes like this out of Italy and Germany. Scenes from this to this in the MLS. The glory of the Balkans, and all too often see them portrayed as criminals for moments like this. But what are ultras and what do they do? Originally used by the Gazzetta dello Sport to describe a group of supporters in the 1960s, ultras or ultras are one of the most broadly defined subcultures in the world. However, the term was only appropriated by an actual fan group in 1969, with Sampdoria's Ultras Tito Cucciaroni and Torino's Ultras Granata. Since then, fans have reappropriated the name, but given the global reach of the game, the term is far from clearly defined. Italians interpreted foreign styles of spectatorship and made their own, something between the South American Barras and Brazilian Torcidas and the British hooligans. Thus, ultras groups were established, born to represent the distinct cultures and traditions from which they originated. Taking inspiration from the time of city-states, in which autonomous cities would defend their identity and their interests against others, ultras value the defence of their territory, which is a feeling that has its roots in the historical age. They are the most fanatic supporters of a team, representing a sort of 12th man.
Contributing to what's happening on the field, there's like no feeling like it.
An ultra is constantly committed to the club, setting up for match days and social events during the week, attending training sessions and youth games, and showing up hours ahead of match day for any last-minute preparations. Away matches are especially important. It's where one proves their true commitment to the group.
We played in Bremen and there were 20,000 people coming to the game and 16,000 from St. Pauli.
And the opportunity to show off your pride in another territory. This comes in the form of choreographies, flags, chants, banners, and fanzines. The strongest expression of these rituals are usually reserved for anniversaries of the clubs, legendary players, the fan groups themselves, derbies, rivalry games, and finally, big cup matches. Ultras have always been characterised by their rebellious nature. Unlike the British, who support largely rides on reacting to what's happening on the pitch, ultras make their own show, beyond the result.
Eddig nagyon nagy munka van mögötte, akár egy hónappal előtte nekiállunk. Ezt a klub nem finanszírozás, saját terünkből alkotjuk meg mindig, saját szabadidő és anyagi tekintetben is.
Drums, flares, megaphones, smoke bombs, the opportunity to freely express a collective idea and a unity of devotion all contribute to this atmosphere. Whenever possible, ultras will march through a city in a corteo, making sure their presence is well known. The group mentality is essential to being an ultra. Rivalry and friendship are the most confusing and turbulent parts of ultras culture. Of course, there are derbies between two teams of the same city or town, but the motivation behind friendships and distances between these relationships can be truly remarkable. Despite being rivals, Genoa and Sampdoria both have a friendship with Boca Juniors for their connection of immigrants established in the club. Crvena Zvezda's Delier, Olympiacos Gate 7 and Spartak Moscow's Fratria have a connection based on being the dominant team from three Orthodox nations. Just as ultras took inspiration from political protest, the actions of ultra groups have been influenced by political ideologies ranging from avowed nationalists to anti-fascists. For example, Celtic's Green Brigade, who forged international links and friendships with other anti-fascist ultra groups across Europe on political grounds, as can be seen with their friendship with German side St. Pauli. While on the contrary, Lazio's Irriducibili consider Livorno and Atalanta among their biggest rivals due to their political stance. Lazio's ultras consider themselves to be far-right, while Livorno and Atalanta fans are left-wing. In recent decades, the culture has become a focal point for the movement against the commercialisation of sports and football in particular. Big TV contracts have left stadiums empty, ticket prices are on the rise, and players seem to live in a different reality, where loyalty is lost and the chance of signing for a higher wage bill wins over the chance of acquiring legendary status amongst a group of fans. To ultras, football at the highest level often feels like a sanitised product, built more for those in the main stand and in commercial suites than for the most devoted fans behind the goal. Simultaneously, authorities continue to innovate new forms of repression against fans.
Bejussul Magyarországon egy stadionban, legalábbis itt a Fradinál, kell egy személyigazolvány, egy szurkolói kártya, ami tartalmazza a születési dátumot, az embernek a édesanyja nevét, e-mail címét, a címét, illetve a tenyérlenyomatát.
Bans on pyro, megaphones and drums, bans on standing room and away travel have had little to no impact of instances on stadium violence. Today, maneuvering the minefield of stadium laws has become a nightmare. These laws have been introduced under the guise of reducing instances of violence at football, but have largely had the adverse effect of killing the atmosphere at many grounds. The fringe elements of these groups, who seek out physical confrontation, continue to operate, as security forces hopelessly seek to curb it through football-specific legislation. This has left fans feeling criminalised, suspicious that states and corresponding football federations would rather see them banished from the game. Whatever your club or political affiliation, the breadth of ultras culture around the world is a testament to this beautiful game. At times, this passion can escalate into violence, but this is not an ultras problem, but a societal one. An ultras group's existence revolves around intense, coordinated support for their team through vibrant displays during matches, making noise on the terraces, and highlighting, publicising, and furthering issues affecting their local territory and in solidarity with other supporter communities. In Egypt, the ultras of Al Ahly and Zamalek have largely been credited for their pivotal role in the uprising of the Egyptian revolution. These are just a small number of the incredible initiatives regularly organised by nearly every ultras group in the world. Like all groups, ultras are hard to stereotype and even harder to define. But one thing is for sure, they are not all criminals, and when it comes to football, they remind us of a purer game. One in which you go out and support your team regardless of the names on the back of the shirt, turning friends into family and being proud of where you come from.